Welcome to Hollywood Impact. Eric and Christian here today.
We're back. The OGs are back.
The OGs are back.
As you can see, we've been trying to do like this new thing where we're kind of switching people up. We have a large cast. You've seen some of them on our other stuff, hopefully, and we're going to be alternating and changing people for almost every film for the rest of the year. But we're back. The OGs are back to talk about Borderlands.
Borderlands.
Yes.
I think
This new movie that's definitely one of the movies of all time.
It is a movie that is in theaters currently.
It is definitely a movie that you can buy a ticket for.
Yes.
And we're going to determine whether you should.
There's probably plenty of tickets available, too, to go see.
If you went and saw it the time I saw it. But go ahead and give us the plot overview.
Yes, plot summary here for Borderlands. Returning to her home planet, Pandora, an infamous bounty hunter forms an unexpected alliance with a ragtag team of misfits. Together, they battle alien monsters and dangerous bandits to uncover one of Pandora's most explosive secrets. Starring Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Ariana Greenblatt, Jamie Lee Curtis, Florian Munteanu, Jack Black, Edgar Ramirez, and directed by Eli Roth. I didn't know he directed this.
I didn't know either.
Until the very end credits. And I'm like, he directed this?
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
It's like, so I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. This movie, in my opinion, is not very good. It's just not. I don't want to beat around the bush. I don't want to just give a little hints and then, give a score at the end. This movie, I don't believe is very good. And which sucks because there's been a lot of good video game films come out in the past year or two that have been like so good. And like, this one has a star-studded cast. Got Cate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart. I'm sitting here thinking, you got a solid cast.
Yeah.
Like, this could be pretty interesting. And it tries to be like Guardians of the Galaxy-esque and kind of turns into like Spy Kids, basically. That's kind of what it. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
You know what would have been a better title? It's like a shorter title for this movie. Bored.
That's good.
I'm like,
that's good.
I saw the trailer for it, and if I'm being honest, I was like, okay, yeah, this was cool the first time I watched it when it was called Guardians of the Galaxy. But I was like, okay, back up. I knew it was a video game adaptation. I'm like, okay, so maybe we got a video game Guardians-ish kind of deal. I'll give it a shot. Not played the game. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
And I saw the runtime when I bought my ticket, and about 10 minutes in, I'm wishing like it was even shorter than it was. Because I'm like, I am not, this movie did not do it at all for me. In no way was it did not, nothing hit. I'd laugh, I may have chuckled twice, maybe.
That's probably
but
accurate.
I just like, I was so confused by it, not by the plot. It's a pretty,
the plot is pretty
generic
it's
plot,
pretty simple.
But I'm like, how is this movie not good?
Like, who approved this thing? Like, the burning question I had at the end of the film is not whether there's going to be a sequel. The burning question that I had was, how did they get these people to sign on for this?
I think they all lost a bet. Like, they had some bet going, and they all lost. And like, okay, we got to do this movie.
They had like a big like celebrity like casino tournament. It's like, okay, the 5 losers get to be in this movie.
In this movie, yeah.
Which sounds mean. Like,
I don't mean to like. I hate like. I don't want to shit on movies.
No, because like, I mean, clearly this is something that neither of us could make in our lifetime.
Oh no.
But like, there were elements in here that actually were pretty interesting. Some of the characters were interesting, but I didn't really care about any of the characters.
I didn't
like
either.
they had interesting pieces to them.
Yeah.
Like Tina had like a little fun personality. She can, she has explosives. She's kind of a little bit psycho. Then there's like the actual psycho who is kind of like their version of Groot, just like he has normal words and yet has like half of the
berserker guy.
Yeah, he says more English words than Groot does, but yet has like a third of like the character that Groot does. I don't know how you do that, but Cate Blanchett's character Lilith, she actually, I was interested in the first 30 minutes of this movie. I was like, they had some cool build up. There was like an exposition at the beginning, like a Lord of the Rings-esque exposition thing. And I think as the movie went on, I was like, this movie is not ending. and it's an hour and like 40 minutes. I didn't even know what the runtime was until I got like out of the theater. Of course, our theater, we had like some complications, but the actual runtime was like an hour 40, hour 45.
Yeah.
And it definitely felt
like 3 hours.
It felt longer than that, and not in a good way.
Yeah. I think Cate Blanchett was probably the only thing I did, was the only positive. Like, I thought she was really good.
Yeah.
Seeing her in an action role. I mean, she's 55.
Yeah.
And she's out there kicking ass and looking good doing it.
Yeah.
I thought she was good.
She was the best part of the movie.
But it's like, I was been trying to beat my head, like, why is this movie not working? Because again, like you said, look at the cast.
Yeah.
It's an outstanding cast. And I just watched the Roast of Tom Brady, which Kevin Hart hosted. So I was like kind of in that Kevin Hart mode, like I'm ready for some Kevin Hart funny. And it just wasn't there. So I was thinking, like, if you look at this cast, they are so far outside of their normal, like, specialized genre. Because, you know, Kevin Hart, he's a comedy guy. Action comedy, straight action, whatever, he can do that. Video game adaptation, sci-fi, maybe not. You know, Cate Blanchett, she's typically known as a drama actress, you know, heavy type movies. And then she's doing this. Which
is very jarring.
It is jarring, but I thought she held her own for sure.
Yeah.
Jack Black, he should have been really good for this.
Should have.
Voice actor for some, what was it, Claptrap? Was that his character?
Claptrap the robot.
The robot. And he was not funny at all.
It just wasted potential.
I never laughed at anything he did.
I mean, that is what this movie is. Wasted potential.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually some really cool, like, background elements and some lore to this that, like, they just never explore. They don't build the world, and that's a big no-no. Like, if you're going to do, like, a big sci-fi exploration video game type thing, and you don't, like, actually build upon the lore of this world, that's a big no-no.
Well, I didn't like it that Pandora is the name of the world. I'm like, you guys got to... I don't know what came out first, Avatar or these video games, but it's like the same name.
The video games, I think.
Did it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Avatar owns it now.
I mean, Pandora is like a common word that's like used in a lot of media now, and I think that maybe Avatar was kind of like the catalyst for that. But
I don't know.
But either way, like, they don't do enough world building, like, at all. They don't do enough character development, hardly. Some of the lines are weird. Like, that's why I was like, why did they sign up for this movie? If you just listen to the script that's going on, like, people would say, like, these extra lines that are completely unnecessary. Like, oh, well, you in what army? The one that's right behind me. It's like, well, why'd you have to say that?
Yeah.
Like, that line's unnecessary. It just makes it cringy. That's what it came across as, like some cringy knockoff of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Do you remember, like, Sci-Fi Channel used to do these movies, these B movies of, like, so Pacific Rim, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good movie. Well, then they would come out with one called Atlantic Rim.
Oh yeah, like absolute
and it sucked.
Garbage, like horrible CGI.
Like
fest.
Transformers, and then we'll do Transmorphers.
Oh yeah.
And it's not going to be any good.
Oh gosh.
And
yes.
that's what this is, except it's got a really talented cast. But it still sucks.
It's just baffling. It's baffling to me.
And why is Eli Roth doing a video game adaptation? He's the horror guy, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
You know, and he's directing this.
And even if he does choose to do this, there's so much killing in this movie, but it's PG-13. And it's like, well, if you're a horror guy, like, why didn't you just go all in and go full, like, psycho with this movie? Like, maybe that would have added some charm to it, but I don't know. It's just... It's hard to explain, but there are elements in this movie that are cool. Some of the CGI is spotty, like hit or miss. There were a couple moments where it was pretty good. The costume designs are pretty cool. They had some interesting lines in there, but they wasted Jack Black. Of course, you and I have already mentioned some of that. They wasted the heck out of Jamie Lee Curtis. She had like 12 lines, and like 3 of them were just like stating the obvious thing that the audience knows. Like, wow, I guess that the reason why this happened is because we didn't want this to happen. And we're like, duh yeah.
Jamie.
So it may have been just like a lost bet. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and I don't mind. I applaud people getting out of what they normally do to try something else, some other type of movie, but I feel there's better ways.
Exactly.
And better platforms for that.
And off of what you said earlier, they had brought like Kate Blanchett and Kevin Hart and like kind of switched their roles a little bit. Like Kate Blanchett's like the slightly broody but makes like jokes every now and then, and Kevin Hart was like really like serious, like Sergeant, actually like stone cold a little bit. He made like a couple jokes, not very funny ones, and I was sitting here thinking, Kevin Hart's supposed to make me laugh. Like this doesn't seem like his style. But at the end of it, I don't know. I just think that it's a lot of just complete underwhelming. Like it's not a terrible film. It's just there's nothing here that's like on par. Everything's like below par. Not everything's bad, but there's like everything's just subpar.
Yeah, I mean
across the board.
There's just too many different things going on. You got your Guardians of the Galaxy base. You got a dash of Tomb Raider.
Yep.
You know, a sprinkle of like Ragnarok in there, and then for me, there's like a large side of I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because this
a large scoop.
I disagree. This movie's terrible.
Really?
I just did not.
That's
nothing
fair.
From it. Other than I was just confused on why it was so bad.
That's. I mean, when I saw what IGN gave it, and they gave it like a 3, I was like, okay. Sometimes they're a little hard on movies. Sometimes people are a little hard on movies. So I went in with like no expectations. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that. I'm just going to see it and have a good time. The director said, "Oh, just give it a chance," and I did. And I gave it a fair shot. A fair shot.
I shan't.
I shan't. I gave it a fair shot, and it was incredibly it was just disappointing, and I will not be seeing this movie again, I don't think.
Now, did you play the video game at all?
Played a little bit of the first one, but that was a long time ago. So Borderlands has not been within my niche of games.
Yeah.
So basically no.
I don't think you have to play the video game to enjoy a movie.
You don't have to play it to understand it. No, wait, you might have to actually. Scratch that.
Maybe this movie. I don't know, but like Last of Us, I've never played Last of Us.
Yeah.
But I get it. And, there's probably some things that if I did play the video game that I might appreciate a little bit more, but I still really enjoyed it. There's nothing here. But I was wondering maybe if, like, you're an avid Borderlands player, if there's something, or maybe you're more pissed off if you play the game and then watch this.
I'm thinking that the Borderlands fans are actually not going to like this movie.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to expect it to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're going to be disappointed. But the one good thing I think that this movie does offer is it's got an interesting soundtrack. There's some cool music in this movie. A few of them were just kind of boppy, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go into just a quick spoiler. So spoiler alert, just real quick, because I have to talk about this scene because I just have to. One of the things that just completely took me out of the film that did not make sense to me was what they did with Roland, Kevin Hart's character, near the end, right? So he's in the hallway. He's in this hallway. The other character is trying to take an elevator to try to get to the final destination. And Kevin Hart's like staring down all these guys that are coming through the hall. And he's like, oh, you go ahead and go in. I will meet you there, I promise. So he starts shooting them and whatever. And then the last thing you see is there's like 3 guys who tackle him to the ground and a bunch of guys still coming. And somehow he just lives. Like that felt like a self-sacrifice moment, and it just wasn't. And like he like was unconscious and woke up, and everyone else just happened to be dead.
Yeah.
And then the elevator that they took, like they teleported, and then later on during the final battle, he just descends from nowhere. I don't know where he came from. It didn't even show what he descended from. He was like sliding down on a rope from somewhere or something, and just popped on the battlefield. And I'm like, that is blatantly ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did you get away with that in the writing room? How?
But at the same time, it just goes along with the rest of the movie. Nothing makes sense. Nothing's good. It's like, who cares?
One of the studios that actually helped to do this movie was 2K, the people who do NBA 2K and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I'm like, maybe that's part of it. Like maybe it's like a studio thing, but
I don't know.
But but anyways, during the end credits, they have like all these, you know, they show like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis as blah blah blah, blah and shows her picture. They ended up having like 2 or 3 characters that just were there for like 7 seconds or more, and it's like, oh, this person as excuse me, this person as Crom, the really like Sauron looking dude who was there for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I think I really would love to know what their thought process was for all this. But I'm ready to give it a score if you are.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Wow. That's generous.
That's what I told my
That's
friend this
really
morning.
generous.
I thought about giving it a 6, but the more that I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to see this again. Like,
Brother.
it's a 5.5. There are interesting things in here. The soundtrack is good, but it is a lot of wasted potential. But that's why I gave it a 5.5, because there was potential for a decent movie somewhere in this film, and I could see bits and pieces of it, but it was just buried underneath a pile of dung. So
This is a 3.
a 3.
Yeah. This is a 3, and it's only a 3 because I thought Cate Blanchett did a really good job, and I'd like to see her in some action roles after this.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I mean-
I'm done.
Our recommendation is save your money.
Save your money if you're that. You know, if you're like me and you don't play the game, but you look at the cast, wait for it to stream.
Wait for it to
You
stream.
don't have to pay for it. Don't spend your money going to the theaters to see this. I'm looking out for the people on this one.
Yeah, of course. But that's pretty much it. That's all we got for this.
Yeah. Guys, appreciate you watching. A lot of our earlier videos are now starting to, some of those movies we reviewed are starting to hit streaming. So if you haven't caught onto those movies, go watch them. Go back and watch some of our videos and let us know what you think.
And as always, have a good rest of your day.
Thanks.